When I think of Kim, I think of orphans and the heart that she has to make sure that all orphans have a home. We were blessed to be able to walk alongside Kim and Merle as they did the first part of their journey with Lucy, and that is what gave us the courage to be able to move ahead in our adoption and be open to special needs. Our adoption story started 6 years ago in the little tiny library at Lidditz Area Mennonite School. And Kim was an intricate part of that. I had asked Darvin multiple times if he would go to an informative adoption meeting, and he had said no. And there was one specific day that she was working in the library, and I walked back to her and I said, I want to go to this meeting, but I'm scared to ask. And so she, right there and then, in the Lidditz Area Mennonite School Library, prayed with me. And then she said, try one more time. And thanks to that encouragement of one more time, we went to the meeting. We had actually picked Ethiopia as to where we were going to adopt from, and we moved ahead with paperwork. Then 4.5 years into the Ethiopia program, we had a friend from church that had a word from the Lord and told us that we do have a daughter from Ethiopia, but we will not hold her on this side of heaven. So we took 6 months to heal from the loss of that little girl, and then took another month of just praying and fasting and interceding separately. And then we came back together at the end of that month, and I expected Darvin to say, we're finished. And instead he said, we're to move to China and we're supposed to do special needs. And that was because of Kim and Merle giving us courage to take that next step. I was on Facebook and Kim messaged me and she said, I think you need to take a look at this little girl. She said she fits all of your perimeter, and just take a look at her. And up until this point in our adoption, I had never felt like we were supposed to look for our little girl. I felt that our agency was going to find our little girl and match us, and then we would move forward from there. That evening, I specifically heard the Lord say, look. So I looked. It was about 10:30 at night. Darvin was already in bed, and I could not wait for the next morning because I knew that we had found our daughter. We only had so long to lock her paperwork, and we knew that we were running out of time because of the fight with our previous agency, and so we actually went ahead and looked at a second little girl's file, and we put our letter of intent in for her. Little to my knowing, Miss Kimberly and our social worker were kind of sort of working behind our backs. They kept asking if we would be open to twins. And I didn't think of it at the time, but now looking back, yes, it was asked very often, would we be open to twins? And Darvin kept saying, only if it's these two. There is no other way that I will be okay with it. It has to be these two little girls.
And on February 18th, remember it specifically, Angie called and she said, Darvin, will you give me permission to call our new agency and ask if there's any way they can find that first little girl? Because at that point, to our knowledge, that file was closed and there was no way we would be able to get that little girl. So I said, you may call, but I'm not saying I'm going to do it. You know, I was being a tough guy. So later that day, I was driving on 222 close to Oregon Dairy. I had a conversation with the Lord that day. I said, okay, God, you're pretty big. I said, if you can pull that off, I'm in. Pretty short conversation. That was about, I'm going to say 12:30, 1 o'clock on February 18th. That day at around 5 o'clock, we met Kim and Merle at their house. I mean, it was 5:30. to go out to eat that evening, and that's when they laid out on the floor. He split the sea for you with 2 little girl pictures, and wow. So in like 3.5, 4 hours, a lot happened. And now we're sitting here 4 months since we got our 2 little girls in China, and couldn't be happier. So thank you for the role that you played in it. We're blessed. Thank you very much.